Good evening. Welcome to the October 19th Public Works Session of the Rockville Center Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Mr. Gavin, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. It is Board Appreciation Week, and we are joined here this evening with some special guests. We'd like to introduce Dr. Doreen Freiling and the Chamber Singers for a special presentation, after which we will hear from PTA Council President Jackie Cowell, who's also here to join for us. So I'll ask everyone to stand up, pivot hard on your left foot, and sit down in the front row. Not you guys. You guys are
Good following order.
Look, we can make circles. Okay. Good evening. The Chamber Singers and the whole music department would like to extend our thanks to the Board of Education for their unwavering support of music education in Rockville Center. We recognize that this support is intentional, and for that we are extremely grateful. We offer a musical gift tonight, a piece called Draw the Circle Wide by the composer Mark Miller. It's a piece that we've been learning together, working on notes, rhythms, diction, and technical vocal issues. This is also a piece that we've been exploring together from a contextual perspective, an interpersonal perspective, and a mental health perspective. What we are about to express through our singing is not magic or sheer talent. This ensemble only works because we are drawing on skills developed over a K-12 music education, and we understand the value of collaboration in order to bring to life a piece of ensemble music. No other curriculum in this building is built on the premise that the success of each learner creates a larger success, bigger than a single person in this room. And this ties directly into the role of the board. Your successes are larger than a single one of you. Your collaboration has implications far beyond things you will ever witness. We thank you for your ensemble spirit, and we hope that you know how appreciative we are of your gifts. How appreciative we are of your gifts to all of us. I can't read. Thank you so much.
So it is Board of Ed Appreciation Week, and we are so happy to have an opportunity to show our appreciation for all of you. I'm Jackie Cahalan, and along with Lauren Cruz, we're the current co-presidents of Rockville Center PTA Council. Lauren really wanted to be here tonight. She had a prior commitment, so she apologizes, and I'm here speaking on behalf of both of us. And really, I'm here on behalf of all of Rockville Center PTA to just express our gratitude and to say thank you for all of the time and energy that you give to support and enrich our kids and our schools and really the entire Rockville Center community. And it's not just your time and energy, but also really the thoughtfulness and the consideration that you really give towards addressing both the immediate needs of our district and also working to develop a cohesive vision for our future. So you will see in front of all of your spots tonight as a very, very small token of our appreciation. We have some goodies for you from some of our local vendors. So inside the bags are pound cakes and cookies from Polka Dot Pound Cake, which is over on Long Beach Road. If you haven't been there, like, you walk in and your mouth waters, and it's amazing and delicious, so enjoy. And then there is also a note of thanks for each of you on a note card. The cards, the photos on the cards were taken by the Backyard Players and Friends photographers, and they were generously gifted to us by Alan White and the Backyard Players. So, and I just think that's a really wonderful example of how our community supports each other. So it's just a nice place to be, and we hope you enjoy them. And just thank you for everything that you guys do. There's so many exciting things happening here right now, and everything looks really bright looking into the future, and we appreciate everything you do to make it happen for us. So, game on, RVC.
Before we take a picture, I just want to say on behalf of the Board of Education to Dr. Freiling and the Chamber Singers, thank you so much for your beautiful song and everything that it represents. And to the PTA Council, thank you so much for representing all of the PTAs and your support of the board. We wouldn't be able to do the work without you. And to Lisa and Ellen, thank you so much for our treats.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. You want to leave this?
Okay, thank you again to everybody. Mr. Gavin, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Barry. As we all know, this is Board of Education Recognition Week. I personally want to thank all of our board members on behalf of our cabinet, our administrators, and our faculty and staff for their dedication and service to the students and parents of the Rockville Center School District. In my time here, I've come to know each of our board members well. Each of our board members are advocates for public education, and more importantly, for the children of Rockville Center. The role of a board member is complicated. You need to be able to focus on governance and policy, collaborate with the superintendent on important or difficult issues, and work to establish a vision that leaves our students prepared for a rapidly changing world. And they do so because they care. They care about our students, our employees, our parents, and our community members. Tonight, we thank Kelly Barry, Donna Downing, Janet Gruner, Tara Hackett, and Erica Messier for their work and dedication, and we profoundly thank you all for your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to provide a few updates. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with Mayor Murray and Deputy Mayor Baxley about the traffic situation at Hewitt. I'd like to provide an update for the community. First, I want to thank Kathy Baxley for working with us and making sure that the county officials keep this issue on the forefront. A few updates. At first, the county has approved that the traffic light on DeMott and Hempstead Avenue become an all stoplight, which will allow more people to cross the street safely and in multiple directions. They are also adding an additional crosswalk signal to that intersection. Second, Nassau County has agreed that a study of the issue is needed. We are hopeful that the process can begin soon. The village is also looking to hire an additional crossing guard at dismissal, but as many people know, those positions can be exceedingly difficult to fill. As part of our ongoing efforts to meet our goal of enhancing strategic communication, the board and I are working to communicate about our district goals with our parents through our partners, the PTA and SEP. We have already attended the Riverside, Wilson, Watson, and middle school PTA meetings. Thank you to Ms. Barry, Ms. Gruner, Ms. Hackett, and Ms. Messier for being a part of those efforts. Dr. Downing and I will be attending the Cobra PTA meeting on the 25th next week and the SEP meeting on October 30th. President Barry and I will then follow up with the final meeting at the high school PTA meeting on the 26th. As a reminder to the public, the district will be surveying parents and teachers to help us prioritize the skills, values, and outcomes that are important for our students to experience and share together. This survey will be sent out on Monday, November 6th. The survey will close on November 27th. There may need to be a short follow-up survey, which will open up on the 28th. That's dependent on the answers we get to the questions we have. We encourage everyone to share their voices because we want as many opinions and voices involved as possible. I also want to let the community know that we had our first parent-teacher conferences at the middle school this past Tuesday evening. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. We look forward to the second evening of fall conferences at the middle school, which will take place on November 13th. The high school will also be having their fall parent-teacher conferences with the first evening on October 30th and the second evening on November 8th. So we look forward to that. Southside High School will host their open house event. Our parents and students are encouraged to come and see the many different opportunities our high school offers for our students. Our clubs and sports teams will be represented there, as will so many of our faculty and staff, to provide the students that are currently in or are going to come in the near future the opportunity to engage with our students and staff to see possibilities. We're very excited about that. We also have upcoming our Parent University set for next Tuesday evening. Thank you to Dr. Moriarty and Dr. Dias for putting this program together with our principals and teachers. We are excited to share that with our parents some of the wonderful things that take place here in Rockville Center. Parents can learn about our science research program, word study at the elementary level, robotics K-12, our visual arts program, co-teaching, and get an understanding of the RIB program. Dr. Walsh and I will also be hosting a session on artificial intelligence. We keep planning it, and the technology keeps changing, so we keep having to change the presentation. So we're very excited about that. This is something that I think will have a big impact, and it's a wonderful way to get a good hands-on experience of what our programs offer both students and parents. I will also be conducting a series of focus groups with our 6th and 9th grade students to listen and understand the process of transitioning from elementary to middle and middle to high school. We want to know if their transition was smooth, and we're planning some new activities in the years to come, so we'd like to get some insight from the students that are involved to say, is this something that you think would be beneficial or not? So those are in the works. We're very excited about that. Ms. Ramsey has already changed our 9th grade orientation this year, and we are looking forward to feedback from the students about those changes to find out if they were effective, can we make them more effective, what would be engaging. I do want to say congratulations to Cara Rosetto. Cara Rosetto won the New York State Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance's Amazing Person Award for her exemplary contributions to their association. Thank you, Carolyn. Well done. I also want to acknowledge that the Rockville Center Education Foundation will be honoring 2 of our outstanding administrators at this spring's gala. Congratulations to Dr. Brian Zuar and Mr. Darren Raymar. Both gentlemen have had a distinguished career of service for our families and for our students, and we look forward to celebrating them both at the gala. That is my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. As a follow-up, before we begin the Public Works portion of the meeting, as a follow-up to our last meeting on behalf of the board, there was a resident that informed the board that the contact number for the district was incorrect on the tax statement, so the town of Hempstead has been notified and will make the correction before the spring mailing. Secondly, the resident posed a question regarding his taxes and has since discussed that with Mr. Bartels. Any resident that has a question about the school district portion of their tax bill is encouraged to contact Mr. Bartels' office. Thank you, Mr. Bartels. Okay, turning to the public work session, items for information, Mr. Gavin.
Yes, tonight we are joined here by our partners at Covert Security to present to the public some of the findings and updates that we've done on our security procedures. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Murphy, who will introduce the team. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. So about this time last year, as is our wont, we began an inventory and an overview of our security measures here at the district. Slow, methodical, based on what we had, and then looking at things that we could do to improve. Special thanks to the board and Mr. Gavin for giving us permission to really accelerate the process and move forward. By the end of the year, we had received permission to start an outgoing exploration of partnering with a security firm so that we can get a more objective audit and assessment of where we are and where we need to be. So I'd like to introduce my new friends, Mr. Hearns Mitten, who I've worked more closely with over the last 2 months as the Director of Security, starting on August 28th, and Mr. Don Flynn and Mr. Keith Mackius, who we started working with as late May and June, which is when the security audit started. I'm really proud of the work that we've done so far. Click me. But for the sake of this argument, what we're going to focus on today is Covert Security's direct impact on our immediate security measures, as you would imagine security when you first think of it. Door security, cameras, the likes. Security in and of itself, as we discussed last year, is a much broader topic that can include everything from parental involvement to social emotional learning, to knowledge of parents and caregivers, to understanding bus routes. So this is a very broad topic that will encompass an inordinate amount of detail. What we're focusing today is on that immediate assessment from trained security personnel and our short-term and long-term impact on that. One more slide and then I'm done. Underlying all of this with the security measures that we're going to talk about, with this technology, with the protocols, the bottom line historically and always will be, and I took great comfort in Mr. Flynn and Covert reinforcing that message, that a community and a school district that knows its kids, that knows its families, that knows its communities is a safe one. It's the underlying premise of everything that we do, and knowledge of our students, knowledge, and their knowledge of us is 90% of the battle. The rest are mere tools to advocate and to precipitate that further. And without much further ado, I will give you Mr. Mitten and Covert Investigations to give us an update.
Yes, please.
Good evening, and to the board and superintendent and the cabinet. I just want to thank you tremendously for the opportunity to come here and speak. Mr. Murphy basically summed it all up, so I don't have much more to say. I do want to thank the community and the board and the district in general. For the community that may not know, all three of us are prior law enforcement, but beyond that, from the company's perspective, security company, we are basically 100% a K-12 security company. So that is where all our effort, and those in the administrative capacity and the board capacity know that school is not 180 days a year, 365 days a year. The district takes it serious, and it was a very rewarding and continues to be a very rewarding partnership with the district, and conducting a deep down dive and assessment. And which leads me to say that from the onset, we saw that the district and the community had invested, not just monetarily, but from the people perspective, a whole lot in their safety and security. A lot of it is sad that where we've come in K-12 security, but the district continues to be extremely proactive. I'll be brief by saying that the assessment, as I said, was extremely thorough. The assessment process continues every single day. It's not finished, but the district took the findings and continues to take those findings and work with them every single day, and has achieved a tremendous amount in a very short period of time. And for us, it's all about finding the balance and a safe and secure, but yet a welcoming environment. So that's where we channel our resources and our recommendations. And again, as I said, it's been a very good partnership. We hope to continue to work with the district for a very long time. Again, we're coming into our 20th year of strictly K-12. We've seen the evolution, and again, we continue to move at the cutting edge. So as Mr. Murphy has put together up on the screen right here, what it looked like as far as the process moving forward. And I gave you a little bit of overview of what the assessment looked like. And at this point in time, he mentioned Mr. Hearns Mitten. Mr. Macias, who's my executive director, he's been with me for many years and was with us throughout the assessment process, and a number of members of our team. The partnership, not just with the district, as Hearns will say, the Rockville Center Police Department, extremely lucky to have them as partners. And again, I say accolades to the administrators in the district, the staff, the teachers who were very involved in the entire assessment process. So at this point in time, Mr. Murphy, I don't know if you want to move forward from here. And so this is, so I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Good, got it. All right, so good evening. So thank you. I want to first say, like I said, thank you to Mr. Bartels, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Gavin, for even thinking about ensuring and having a security director to work for the school and emphasize on security. So I'm Hearns Mitten. I'm the security director for Rockville Center Schools. I'm a 25-year veteran of the New York City Department of Corrections. I have a lot of extensive experience in security. I was in charge of the Emergency Service Unit and also the Training Academy. So I'm a Elmont, Massapequa, Amity Harbor, but as of last Friday, I wore a Southside jersey at the football game, so I'm a Rockville Center person now, so thank you. So I started back in August 2023, and when I came to Rockville Center, we did an assessment, and I saw the assessment that was done by Covert. So one of the first things I did was have a training and a meeting with the security guards to make sure that they understood the needs of security and how important security is for our children. And that's very important to me as a father, a parent of a child, high school, college hockey player, right? Go Colgate. So it's very important to me. So part of the assessment, we did some training for them: security awareness, situational awareness, de-escalations, and radio etiquette. There'll be a lot more training going on in the near future. I did some assessments in regards to the lockdown drills and the emergency fire drills, ensure that they were going and made some minor adjustments. We increased the security at the middle school. There's a lot of activities, sports, the kids coming back, so we placed a security guard on a daily basis until the last bus returns to make sure the kids are all go home safe and the building is secured. On the weekends, we also add an additional security guard for the sports that happens on the weekends and any activities on the weekends. We also hired 4 new security guards, and in place of hiring a few more, we have anticipation of 2 retiring in the near future. Okay. The security vehicle that does the patrols at the Rockville Center between all the schools, it's getting dark now, so we place a emergency strobe light on the vehicle, so that way when they do their patrols, hopefully that's a deterrent to anybody that may be on our grounds. So we're looking at some vendors in regards to our ID system. We want to do a digital ID system for the cards entry. We put the, we minimize this entry points, so to minimize the traffic, so just 2 entry points to the double checking system. We talked about earlier with the Hewlett procedures, that Mr. Murphy, Mr. Gavin talked about, that's being assessed by Rockville Center PD, which I've been having a great relationship with Rockville Center PD. A lot of them, like I said, are coming from the city. I'm familiar with some of them, and we've been having a joint conversation and some good meetings with Sergeant Pellegrino and Lieutenant DeLuca in regards to the whole Hewlett traffic situation. There's some good boost, a nice boost that will place for the security guards throughout the premises on 3 sides and the exit side. So we're placing a monitor in there in each booth to ensure that you can see a 360 visual of the school campus. We have a lot of future trainings coming up. We're looking to do something on Superintendent's Conference Day in November. We're going to be providing CPR training for all our teachers and security staff and faculty. We're doing a focus group with our teachers to make sure they have some input on security ideas that we have to make sure that we work in conjunction with the teachers to make sure it's suitable for all and security-minded. We have some active shooter drills coming, reunification training, and continued positive police involvement. And we're going to continue to train as the day goes by because security changes on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Hearns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Be happy to take any questions for the board.
Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Murphy, you started out by defining security. As Dr. Downing mentioned at the last meeting, I believe, many of the board members attended a leadership conference earlier this summer, and security was very much the focus of that, and making the point that when we think of security, we often think of the physical plant, but it's much wider than that, and there's many facets to this conversation. Obviously, we're sharing what we can in public tonight, but there's many layers to this that we wouldn't share in public. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
My question, UIT obviously has been the focus as of late. Are there plans to study arrival and dismissal at all of our buildings to see how we can make it perhaps safer at other locations within the district?
Yes, yes. So at arrival and dismissal, we ensure our security guards are outside, present, and make sure that the security in regards to all the kids arrive and leave safely. That's definitely an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I know it's a concern at all of our buildings because everyone's trying to get our kids to school on time
Absolutely.
and pick up on time, and it's just something that I think we should be examining continuously.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, and I have meetings with the security guards. I call those times heightened alert.
Yeah.
That's the most busiest time, and we'll make sure you be very diligent and security-minded between those times.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Any board members have comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one of the ways a community and certainly a school district shows its values and priorities is how we invest our resources. And so there's no more important way to show our priority in terms of safety than having a director of security. And I just want to clarify for anyone listening at home, Covert Security is the name of your firm, has no relation to Covert Elementary School. So just in case you tuned in late, I just
Darren's
wanted
not
to
running the
clarify that. Totally separate entities. One of the things I was thinking about when you're talking about drills, whether it's a fire drill or a lockdown safety drill, especially at the elementary schools, I wonder, or really at any level, we have some students for whom a change in routine is sort of off-putting and difficult, and I wonder if maybe there's an opportunity to work with the pupil personnel department and sort of train both ways, right? To let the students know that you're still safe, but also let any first responders who might be involved in the drill know that we have some students who might react in an unexpected way, and how can we, sort of make it as uncomfortable as it is to make
Absolutely.
it comfortable for the students and the staff.
Yes, I totally agree, and not just the students, some faculty and some. So I was a big advocate of having table chop drills first, having a discussion before you actually do it and go live. So that way everyone's prepared and know what's going to happen, as opposed to a shock factor. So that's something we definitely were looking into and we're definitely going to do.
Thank you. That's great. And two things that also came to mind through the slides. Obviously, this is a larger discussion, but since you mentioned capital projects as well, I would say that you could add to the list the sidewalk going to the student parking lot. That's certainly a safety upgrade, and fixing any sort of leaks and maintaining
Yes.
the safe and secure hallways so that there's fewer risks of accidents for everyone in the building. So
Yes.
I'd add those to our list. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation, and welcome again. It's awesome to have you on staff. I think the experience and perspective you bring will be invaluable. I think one of the hardest things parents struggle with is giving their kids, the independence versus the fear of the unknown, and so just having someone who is as experienced as you are looking at things, I think, is something very valuable in terms of just the security of our district as a whole. Just 2 questions. So I'm happy that you're building a relationship with the Rockville Center PD. I know in the past, Rockville Center officers did come through each building periodically just to make sure they're familiar with the layout, and
Yes.
is that something we're still?
Still ongoing. The
Okay.
Rockville Center PD comes here every morning, and they all have access to the building, and they come every morning, and they notify me also, and we do some tours, or sometimes they do their own tours, but we always get notified when they come, but they definitely come on a daily basis.
Okay.
I happened to see one of the officers here today. I happened to be here about 11 o'clock this morning. One of the officers was walking through. We were discussing. We had a great conversation. So that is ongoing.
Great. My other question is, it's not the first thing you think of when you think of security, but in light of the weather that we had a couple weeks ago, I just want to put it on the radar of, obviously, it's impossible to predict the degree of, weather threats that
Yes.
we're going to have. But that Friday at like 5 p.m. was a really treacherous time
Yes.
for kids to be getting home, and buses and parents picking up. And I'd just like that to be something that we're thinking about as part of our security planning. I mean, thankfully, nothing really bad happened, but I think, another inch of rain, or you never know
Right,
what's going to
right.
happen.
No,
So
that
if we can
definitely-
keep that in mind in
Definitely
our
was in
planning.
place, because it happened to be early dismissal that day, so we're actually doing a drill that day, so it kind of worked out. We've been doing the shelter in place, so we were definitely ready for that. And it was amazing, Long Beach Road with the flood, so we would, we've been doing emergency lockdown drills and shelter in place drills, which will be ready for a situation like that.
Thank you.
Weather-related emergencies are part of the district safety plan.
Right.
They've been historically, so it's one of the things that we rehearse the unpredicted, right?
Right, and there really is no way to plan for every eventuality, but I do feel like we're entering a realm of more unpredictable weather, so just to keep that as part of something that's like continually in the forefront rather than, getting put on the back burner, I think is important.
That's also part of the review of all of our plans that, Mr. Mitten has been going over, like we're reviewing all of our plans. And a big component, like John said, is the weather-related emergencies. So we'll always, reach out, make sure that we have the best research plan to go with different types of emergencies. Like you said, certain things are unpredictable, but you can at least practice some of the things that are unpredictable. So that, I think, I think that we are well-versed in some of those procedures, and I think we can just keep working together to make sure that, we keep following the best directions in those kind of things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to have you too, and I
you.
think that the students will quickly get to know
Yes.
you and recognize you, and I think that that's a sense of security for
Thank
them
you.
as well, so we love having you. Just a couple of notes. I know we were talking about how far we've gotten so far, but I would say Rockville Center has 4 seasons of different security issues, so that we make sure that we're communicating as much as possible, and we're looking at concert season, and we're looking at forums, and we're looking at summer hoops, and, when the kids are out of school and what's happening on summer playgrounds. So just that we're constantly reevaluating every season and how things are going, because things change.
Yes.
I also wanted to thank you for extending some of the security on the weekends and for all the things that we
Thank
have
you.
going on, because we've gotten parents writing to us in the past saying, are the buildings secure over the weekends? There's so many people coming in and out, and I think
Yes.
that this will give them a real sense of safety for their kids for Monday morning, so we
Yes.
appreciate that too. Two quick things. I just want to confirm also, Covert, the building is Nassau County, so we're also working with Nassau County Police?
Yes,
Okay.
Covert, yes. So
Okay.
Rockville Center and Covert, Covert's right on the Nassau side,
Right.
yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. Because I also know that some of the seminars we've been to, in an emergency, they would deploy Nassau County
Yes.
Police Department,
Yes.
even if it wasn't our covert school. Is that correct?
Yes, right on the border, so it's a fine line right there.
Okay. And then one of the other things I would just ask is that as Mr. Gavin and team are kind of developing their communication strategies and plans, that security be such a large conversation here, because I think the parents in the district definitely can't know all the details because that breaches security, but need to know that their kids are safe. And that if there is something happening, that communication is timely, and as much information that can be shared at the time, or and whatever outlets we can use to get information out, would make parents feel that their kids are secure, and that's really what we want, people to know that we've got them. We can't stop what we're doing to do that, but that we have systems in place that get out good communication as best as possible.
Absolutely.
And just a quick funny story, I dropped my son off in the mid-morning from an orthodontist appointment. He could not get in the building. And I finally called and they said, "We're in lockdown drill." And I said, "Well, that's the answer." I mean,
See?
so it works.
So the drill worked.
Can't even let those kids get back in. So, no, anyway, thank you so much. and
Thank you.
Great
You're
job,
welcome.
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitten. I really have to say, I feel like, looking to Mr. Murphy and to Mr. Gavin, that this was an excellent decision. I feel like when you onboarded with us last year, this was a concern that we brought to you, and it's like immediately there is an excellent solution. So I really appreciate that we've gone out to Covert and that we've hired Mr. Mitten to really unify our district with regard to security protocol, because I think that was a great need. So thank you.
Thank you.
I really think most of my questions really revolve around questions I've asked before. Specifically, I know we've discussed, and I know it's something that we're thinking about, but the door ajar alarms, that's something that I think is really important to discuss, especially at our elementary schools, especially at our elementary schools who have special class, where we could have children who elope. I've had some communication from parents of kindergarten and first grade students in the district who have concerns about that. So I know it's a budgetary issue, but I would like that to be heavily considered as soon as possible. And then I also really appreciate that part of your work in the district is also working with our faculty and staff, our teachers, in designing and implementing professional development, because at the end of the day, they are going to be the first responders to whatever
Yes.
it is that's going on.
Absolutely.
And as a teacher myself, I know that while you can have a ton of training in a moment of emergency, making sure that that training is going to come through.
Absolutely.
One thing that I have as an educator from my district, which I appreciate, and I don't know if we have it here, but in our, I'm just going to hold this beautiful card up. We have these, obviously with our ID, but on the back side, there's a 4 square, and it has lockdown, shelter in place, lockout, and evacuation. Got my 4. And it gives like the bullet points, like the main things that I would want to remember, to do, to look for, et cetera, in a time of emergency. Thankfully, I've never had to consult it, but it just feels like a really good resource to have, because again, depending on what's going on.
Right.
So I wonder if that might be something that we could employ. And then I also wonder about our students. That obviously our students are trained on how to do drills. They know how to do fire drills. They know how to do lockdown drills. But the majority of those drills happen during very structured time, where they have a teacher who can lead them. So as we look at the middle school, and really more specifically the high school, how are we teaching kids what to do during passing, during lunch, at times where if we were going to have an internal threat, that would be the likely time we would see that. So those are some of the questions I wonder about, and I'd like to really know how we're teaching our kids what to do, what the protocol is, and then hopefully eventually practicing.
I'm glad you actually brought up, I'll start with the last one first. Your point about doing drills during unstructured times, it was something that we've been discussing since
Yes.
day one. Because most principals want to try to control those drills as much as possible so that they can, kind of make sure that everyone is doing the right and correct procedure. But one of the things that we know is that we need to practice things that are not anticipated. So one of the things we've asked parents to do as part of the review of all of our processes is that we do drills in unstructured times, whether it be a lockdown drill during a passing, or a fire drill during recess, or whatever that is. We've asked for that specific thing, specific very thing, because for us, it's really about evaluating what happens in those situations while it's still under control, not in an emergency situation. So, oh, by the way, we needed to check this out. We noticed that these two students, didn't know where to go. So how do we make sure that we get to them? So that's also about educating too, and I think it also goes back to involving the students in why we do what we do. They need to know what the purpose of these practices are. So when you talked about the idea of educating students and teachers, it really starts with, why do we do what we do? Don't just do it because the bell rings and you need to go on a fire drill. Think intentionally about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how it should get done correctly. I think that's a big piece. In terms of the notice on the back, that is something we'll definitely discuss about how to get that done. So as you can see, Mr. Don Flynn over there already has one like that, so he has an example. Although I gotta be honest, it's not in a Foursquare. It doesn't look like it's in a Foursquare. But that would be something that we could look at as we talk about some of the new pieces. I would remind the board that the foresight of the board started last year during budget season to allocate more money towards security. And that originally our piece was to do a security evaluation, which we've done and now we've reported on. But the second component was, how do we look at deploying extra shifts of guards or hiring more guards so that we cover evening events at the middle school like we noticed that was a need. So that was really important for us too. So I compliment the board and Mr. Bartels for making a switch in our budget, really well into the budget season. And I can assure the board that as we continue to go through this year with Mr. Mitten on staff, that we will include in our budget proposals a number of different arrays to increase security.
I just had one more slight, small thing, just a request that, we empower teachers with the tools that they need to keep our students safe. So in the event that there was a reason for a teacher to have to call a lockdown, that there was a very easy way for them to do that, maybe punching a code into the phone, the Rave app or something. Just know seconds matter.
Yep.
So if we haven't done that already, that would be my request as well.
Without getting into specifics, we've already had in-depth discussions about the Rave app.
Great. Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
everything.
you.
Thank you so much for being here again. And so
you
we've
say
accomplished so much. Sorry, you want to?
Just take 30 seconds to expound
Sure.
upon, because you had asked about Nassau County. I just want to reassure you, as close as our relationship is with Rockville Center PD, it is seamless with Nassau County PD. We have a very close relationship with their Homeland Security Unit. Keith and I are very tight with them. We're on the phone with the commanding officer today, and we're constant information flow back and forth, because you're exactly correct. In an event, it doesn't even have to be at 1 in a million, that Rockville Center and Nassau County, they work together very closely, so we make sure we work very closely with both of them, so.
Thank you for reinforcing that. And the board is eternally grateful, as always, for the work of the Rockville Center Police Department and the Nassau County Police Department.
Thank you.
We're grateful for you to be here as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We've accomplished a lot since you've been here, and we're looking forward. I think we have some short-term things that we can address more in the immediate term from tonight's discussion. And Mr. Gavin, I'll hope that you and Mr. Mitten can report back at some point on any updates as we approach budget season.
I think as we go through
Yep.
budget, we'll bring Mr. Mitten back to do that portion along with Mr. Bartels to talk about the different concrete pieces that we have for security. And then Robert, of course, will be able to give us the perspective about how that will impact the budget.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gavin, we have acceptance of a gift.
That's right. As the board knows, 2 weeks ago at one of our Friday night football games, Mr. Sean Wachter came to donate to our athletic department $1,000. He was just grateful for the opportunity he had as a Southside student. He was really passionate not only about his experience on the football team, but more importantly about the work he can do inside the weight room with physical conditioning, about how he was able to really turn his training into something positive. And he was so generous to offer us a gift of $1,000 for specifically equipment that will go into the weight room. Now, I haven't heard exactly what we want to buy yet, but I know that this is a conversation with our athletic department and our coaches, trying to make sure that we can enhance that experience for our student athletes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wackler. Many of our students will benefit from that gift, so we are grateful. Can I have a motion to approve the gift?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Items for discussion, turning to policies. At stage 1, we have 8110, curriculum development, resources, and evaluation. Any comments or questions on 8110?
I have a couple small things.
Sure.
In the top section, the subsection C, it starts state learning standards. The last line, there's just, it says "are" and together. I think the word "are" should not be there.
Yeah.
And then in the second section, instructional staff, the second paragraph or statement, instructional staff will initiate curriculum development and improvement. I would just suggest we change it to read and respond to changes in curriculum instead of changing conditions in curriculum. I think it just reads a little cleaner.
I'm fine with that. Is everyone okay with that change?
Yep. That was it for
Okay.
me on that one.
Thank you. Anyone else on 8110?
It's certainly in keeping with our board goals for this year, so it's
Yes.
timely for us.
Yes. Okay, Mrs. Celebrity, you have those two changes? Okay, great. Can we move this to stage 2? Thank you. 8120, request for Part 100 variance or Part 200 innovative program waiver from Commissioner's regulations. There is no revision required, Ms. Harvey?
No, it's consistent with the law.
Okay, so we just update the date?
Yep, so
Okay.
they're reviewed so that we know that we did do it, so we don't keep on reviewing the same policy.
Got it, thanks. Are we okay to move this to stage 2?
Yes.
8210, safety conditions and programs. Any comments or questions?
And this probably looks like, we're out of compliance. All of these things are things that were done in the school, it's just putting it into the policy. And pretty much all of the language is just pulling pieces from the law into the policy.
So we're just updating based on legal
Just
changes?
updating to bring into line the policy into practice.
Great, thank you. Okay to move this?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. 8220, career and technical occupational education.
I had just one minor thing. I thought the first sentence was just reading a little unclearly, so the district recognizes the need for career and technical education and reaffirms its policy of strengthening available career and technical education programs through utilization of any available federal and state funds for that purpose. And then this is the part, and supporting BOCES programs. Is that, are we, I don't know, it just didn't seem to follow from the, what are we trying to say in that line?
So I think what we're trying to say is that through our different funding sources, state and federal, that we recognize the fact that career and technical education are a key component and utilize those funding streams to help support it. Not all of the funding, but portions of the funding. The other component for that is, and this is what's important to the state, is that BOCES programs are often a really important vehicle for these types of programs, and so I think they're specifically calling it out. Mara, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're specifically calling it out because BOCES, in most places across the state, is the only source
Right,
for
so
career and tech.
that is usually, and the majority of the tech ed usually does come through BOCES.
And so we
Okay.
see that reflected on the bottom there, that we're changing.
Yeah, I don't know,
The local
the word,
advisory council.
It
it
is
just
the
like.
concern the language of it?
Yeah, it just
Okay.
didn't read cleanly to me, but that's fine, I'm
Okay,
okay.
we can definitely look at that to try to make it less awkward.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
all.
no problem.
The only other question I had on this one was, we're addressing equal opportunity in the first paragraph, that it's basically for everybody. I'm kind of confused about the second sentence, because we're kind of covering equal opportunity, but really the career and technical education program will be available to all students. So I'm just confused about why we're separating students with disabilities in the second sentence there, if it was necessary.
It's really just to put the focus that including students with disabilities, that there's not, because a lot of times when people think of BOCES, you're thinking, okay, it's only for certain people and not for others. it does say, disability, there's nothing that legally has to be there. But
Yeah, I think the whole point of it is that it's not just for students
Right.
with disabilities, it's available to all of our students. So I think that because of the equal opportunity paragraph in which it falls, it doesn't make sense to me to just be singling out students with disabilities at that.
As a second sentence, you mean?
No.
Yeah. I think it's already stated up
Right.
in the
Yeah.
top, so
Right.
I don't think we need that
Agreed.
second sentence.
I think we can
Redundant.
strike it.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can strike that.
Thank you.
Are we okay moving it forward if we take that out to stage 2?
As amended, yeah. Okay.
8230, guidance program, counseling guidance program.
And the revision from that, since the policy was done in 2002, it used to be that the guidance program had to be from 6 to 12. Now it has to be K to 12.
Yeah.
Again, things that the district had, just bringing the policy in line with practice.
Yeah, Ms. Love, I had a question about that. Is the title for our counselors, school counselor? I know there was some discussion a year or two ago about guidance counselor versus school counselor. Should we make that distinction rather, or?
I feel like the contemporary term is school counselor.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, should
And
we?
so in the policy, I see what you're saying. It should really say school counselor.
I would like it to just say school counselor, since that's the term that we are using. Is anyone opposed to just striking the guidance and leaving the school counseling piece? Can we move it forward with that revision? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Love. 8250, evaluation and instructional program. So, yeah, you want
This
to?
is included, in 8110, so you don't need us to have a separate policy saying the same thing. So the recommendation is to remove this policy. I would have it go in stages, because otherwise you're removing it before the other one is adopted.
I
So
actually did-
often when we rescind a policy, we do it right at that time. I would recommend keeping it along with 8110.
Mrs. Gruner, did you have a?
I did, only because the wording of this policy, to me at least, seems more of like an umbrella. It expects staff members to maintain a continual program of evaluation at every level to determine the extent of progress towards the school objectives. So 8110, I think, was very focused on curriculum. And this seems to have a broader implication about other things we might be wanting to, monitor progress on. So I didn't know if it was worth keeping or revising, or just taking a look at in general, if the curriculum policy really does cover everything that this policy was intended to cover.
I guess that's a good question. So the subject line being
Yeah.
the instructional program, right? Is that synonymous with?
Because like testing, there are other avenues or other
Think about how wide our goals are.
categories.
Think
Right.
about how wide our goals are. This might be
Right,
something
that-
that's a
so-
little bit more encompassing of all of the goals as opposed to just like curriculum updates.
So then I think if we're going to do that, it makes sense to change the title of the policy and then potentially move it from that category, because the 8,000 category is really curriculum instruction. Is that right?
Yeah, and there's nothing legally, we have to remove this, so
Yeah. So maybe we can make it a broader, to capture the Board of Ed, or the goals, or all categories, not just curriculum instruction, but I would take the word instructional out, and maybe, let's hold this at stage 1, and then maybe work on a different title. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, 8290, alternative school program.
I had a comment on this one also.
Sure.
The second sentence, this program is meant for students who are served better by alternative approaches to learning. I'm thinking we could just end the sentence there. I don't know that we have to distinguish between, I don't know, to me, regular sounded a little bit like a
I get it, yeah.
value judgment a little bit,
Yeah.
that I didn't think needed to,
Just take off the last phrase.
yeah.
So end the
End
second
the
sentence with approaches to
learning.
learning.
Does that
Agreed, yes.
work?
Yep. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes,
Okay to move this with that revision?
Yes.
yes. Thank
8320, selection of library and audiovisual materials.
Yeah, I guess my question would be to the other questions as well, are we in compliance already?
We have library media specialists, yes.
Okay. So we used to call them librarians, now they're library media specialists.
They are
Is that-
library media specialists, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is that in every school building has a library?
I have to go back, some people are grandfathered in from when the original piece started, so, John, do we know how many of those that we have?
I'd have to check.
Okay, we can follow up on that, yeah. But I know there are a couple that have been grandfathered in, so for example, I know one of the schools was an elementary teacher, but she's been basically the learning specialist there for a long time, that also serves this role.
Yeah, so I had the same question as Donna, just to make sure that we're in compliance with
Yep.
that.
Are we okay to move this?
Yep.
Yep.
8331, controversial issues. No revisions needed. Any comments or questions? Okay to move this?
Yes.
Okay. At stage 2, we have 1310, powers and duties of the board.
Yeah, I just had a question. Are these just consolidations of education law sections?
Yes. Yeah, the powers of the board are found for the Rockville Center School District in 1709. The reason I say where it's been is because you're a union-free school district. So when we take out the 1604, I think is central, and 1804, I think is city. So that's why those are, because those don't apply.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on 1310?
I don't have a comment on that, but I'm wondering, looking at the language in 1310, where it says evaluation on a continuing basis of the district educational program, if that might be some good language to loop back into,
The one that we're changing the title?
yeah, because instead of that's what we're supposed to be doing, then it might be nice to just lift that language in there and call it
Yep.
that, and then reword as a suggestion.
Good point. Thank you.
8250 and 8110.
Yep, so it'd be, so the new, for 8250 would be evaluation of the educational program.
I think so.
Yeah.
If everyone's
Yeah, I'm good with that.
agreeable to that.
Mrs. Celebrity, you have that? Okay, thank you. Okay to move 1310 to stage 3?
Yes.
Yes.
6540, defense and indemnification of board members and employees.
And this also is law.
Okay to move this?
And no revisions needed.
Law as written, right, Ma'am?
Law as written,
Yep.
yes.
All right.
And as followed by the board.
Okay. Thank you.
A lot of policy.
Yes, moving them along.
We were busy at work.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the receipt of financial reports as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve items for action, number 1 through 8?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to return to executive session to discuss negotiations and the employment history of a particular person?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Next meeting is November 2nd.
Thank you, Jackie.
Jackie, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.